ever feel like you only know the surface of something? Like you see the memes and the T-shirts, but you haven't really, like, gone deep? That's what we're doing today.
Okay.
We're diving into Frida Kahlo.
All right.
Not just, the flower crowns and the eyebrows, but, like, the woman behind all of that.
Yeah.
The woman who took all of the highs and lows of her life and put it onto the canvas.
Yeah, and what's so captivating about Frida is that you can't look at her art like it's separate, you know? You can't analyze it like it's in a vacuum. She's almost like giving you this direct line to her emotions, her experiences, like you're really seeing her reality.
So it's like we're trying to connect to her on a deeper level through this deep dive.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got biographies, letters, art analysis, like the whole Frida feast here.
We're in for a treat.
And one thing's for sure, this isn't some like romanticized, artist's life thing.
Right.
This is a woman who dealt with some really intense stuff. Physically, emotionally.
Yeah.
And her art became this outlet, this way of making sense of it all.
It's pretty incredible when you think about it like that. And it all begins in 1907 in Coyoacán, Mexico. Imagine this. Her father, he's of German descent, and her mother, she's got this blend of Mexican, indigenous, and Spanish roots.
Wow, so like a real mix of cultures right from the start.
Exactly. This fusion, the sense of being pulled between different worlds, it comes up again and again in her work later.
Oh, I see. So it's like her upbringing kind of becomes this foreshadowing.
Exactly.
And get this, as a kid, total tomboy. Not afraid to get her hands dirty, strong-willed, already, defying expectations.
Wow.
But then, at 6 years old, she gets polio.
Oh, wow.
And it leaves her with a limp, and it makes you wonder, how did that, even at that age, shape her?
Yeah, that physical challenge, it's huge because it introduces this concept of living with pain, right? With a body that doesn't always cooperate. And that theme, that idea of the body, its fragility, but also its resilience, it's central to understanding Frida's whole artistic journey.
It's like that experience really laid the groundwork for how she viewed the world and her place in it.
Absolutely.
And then, as if that wasn't enough, the bus accident.
Oh, gosh.
Only 18 years old, and bam!
Yeah.
Fractured spine, broken pelvis. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah.
This isn't just like a bump in the road. This is a complete upheaval.
And it's a turning point for her, because this is where things could have gone in a totally different direction. She's bedridden for months, has all these surgeries, and suddenly her future is completely uncertain. And that's when she turns to art, not just as a hobby, but as a lifeline.
And she was serious about it. She even had a special easel made so she could paint while she was lying down.
Wow.
Talk about dedication.
That's amazing.
And her very first self-portrait, the one that kind of sets the stage for so many more, she painted it while she was recovering from the accident.
Really?
Yeah, it's like she's staring down at her own reflection, her pain, and saying, nope, I'm still here.
It's that self-awareness, that willingness to really confront her own image, both literally and metaphorically. It becomes a real hallmark of her work. Like that quote, I paint myself because I'm so often alone and because I am the subject I know best.
It's so powerful.
Yeah, it's not about vanity, it's about self-exploration, like really trying to understand the depths of her own experience.
It's like she's saying, this is me, the good, the bad, and the painful.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share it with the world.
Yes.
It's like she's inviting us into this really personal journey, and we're just along for the ride.
I love that.
But before we get to the part where she meets Diego Rivera, the man who, becomes both her greatest love and a source of so much turmoil.
Oh, yeah.
Let's take a quick pause. Because the story of Frida Kahlo, just like her art, you got to kind of absorb it in layers.
It's like you almost can't talk about Frida without talking about Diego Rivera.
Right. Like their stories are forever linked.
Their lives, their art, it's all so interwoven.
It's like they were destined to collide, right?
Yeah.
Two forces of nature, both artists, both, super passionate about Mexico and its heritage, but you said collide for a reason.
Yeah.
It wasn't all sunshine and roses, was it?
No, not even close. Tumultuous is a good word for it. I mean, they were married twice, divorced once, infidelities on both sides.
Oh, wow. So much drama.
A lot of drama.
And all of that emotional roller coaster, it's like she poured it all into her art.
Absolutely. And you can really see it when you look at a painting like The Two Fridas. She did that one right after her first divorce from Diego. And it's like you're really seeing her inner struggle. Like you have these two Fridas, almost mirror images of each other. And they're connected by a single artery that's flowing between their exposed hearts.
Whoa, exposed hearts. That's Talk about wearing your heart on your sleeve, or I guess in this case, on the canvas.
Exactly. And one Frida, she's wearing a traditional Tijuana dress, which Diego loved. And then the other one is wearing a more, I don't know, European style gown. And they're holding hands. But there's also this tension, like this feeling of her being torn between these two different versions of herself.
It's like she's trying to figure out like who she is in this whole thing, right? Like the parts of her that were shaped by loving Diego, and then the parts that were always there, independent of him.
Yeah, it's really powerful.
And that theme, the duality, these conflicting emotions, it's like you see it all over her work.
You see it a lot with the symbols she uses too, like the monkey. It's in a bunch of her paintings. Sometimes it's mischievous. Sometimes it's kind of comforting.
Okay, interesting.
Some scholars think that it represents Diego and like his personality. Kind of wild and unpredictable.
Oh, like a visual metaphor for their whole relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
And speaking of metaphors, Frida's work, it has a lot of surrealist imagery in it. So for someone who might not be, super familiar with surrealism, can you kind of break down what that means?
Yeah, so surrealism, it was all about like dreams, exploring your subconscious mind, the irrational. It let artists break free from, just painting what they saw in front of them. And instead, they could use this deeper, more symbolic language.
It was like looking beyond the surface, trying to capture something. And Frida, she does that masterfully. I mean, you look at a painting like Self-Portrait with Thorn Necklace and Hummingbird. And you've got this hummingbird, which is often seen as this symbol of resilience, right? But then it's right next to these thorns that are digging into her neck, representing her pain, the physical and the emotional.
It's a powerful image, and it really gets at her ability to embrace both, the pain and the beauty all at the same time. She never shies away from the hard stuff. She confronts it head on.
Yeah.
And by doing that, she makes it relatable, universal even.
And it's interesting because she was creating for herself, right? Like to make sense of her own experiences. But it resonated with so many people, especially women.
And that's the power of authenticity, She embraced her vulnerability, her pain, her strength. And in doing that, she created this incredible body of work that speaks to the female experience in a way that, I don't know, not many artists had done before.
It's like she was almost like decades ahead of her time in a way, right? Like she wasn't afraid to challenge gender norms or, really celebrate her Mexican heritage or just like show what it means to be a woman with all the raw, real, kind of messy stuff included.
And that's a big part of why she's become such a feminist icon.
Absolutely.
She definitely didn't shy away from the truth.
No, she didn't. But her story doesn't end there. Even as her health is declining, you see this determination to create. It never goes away.
It's amazing, that commitment to her art. So in this last part, let's dive into these later years of her life and how she used art as this tool for self-expression and, resilience.
Wow. We have covered so much ground.
We really have.
From Frida's childhood in Coyoacán to, her whole intense relationship with Diego.
It's just amazing, how when you look at her art, you see how all these complex things in her life really fueled it.
Totally.
And her later years, they were full of, triumphs artistically, but also just a lot of physical challenges.
Yeah, it's kind of heartbreaking when you think about it. Like the bus accident, it left her with so much pain.
Yeah.
And it only got worse as time went on.
You can really see that struggle in her art from this time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, take the broken column. She painted it in 1944, and in it, she shows her spine, but like as this shattered column that's held together with a medical corset. And there are nails piercing her skin, and tears are running down her face.
It's intense.
It's raw. It's vulnerable.
Yeah.
But even though it's all of that, you still get this sense of strength from it.
Right. It's like she's saying, this is hard, but I'm still here.
Exactly. Like she's refusing to let the pain be the only thing that defines her.
Right. She's the artist. She's in control.
Yes.
Even when she's depicting her own suffering.
That's exactly it. And I think it speaks to just how strong her spirit was. Because she had all these surgeries, these limitations on her body.
Yeah.
But she never stopped creating.
It's really kind of inspiring when you think about it. Like, to deal with that much adversity and still want to create, to express yourself, to connect with the world through art, it's amazing.
It really is. And it wasn't just this, like, stoic endurance either.
What do you mean?
Like, even with all she went through, she was still Frida.
Oh, right.
That wicked sense of humor, love of life, it was all still there.
Yeah, she loved to have fun. I mean, there were parties, music, Just this vibrancy that nothing could really touch.
I love that about her.
And knowing that just makes her final self-portrait,
Yeah.
Viva la Vida, even more powerful.
Oh, absolutely. What a statement. And here she is, days away from death, and she's painting these juicy watermelons,
Yeah.
full of color and life. And she writes on it, Viva la vida.
Long live life.
It gives me chills every time I think about it.
Yeah, it's like this final love letter to being alive,
Yeah.
That even when we're facing the end,
Yeah.
there's still beauty to appreciate, things to be grateful for.
It's such a good reminder. And I think, honestly, that's Frida Kahlo's legacy, It's not just the unibrow, the flowers in her hair, the striking visuals.
Right.
It's the way she embraced everything about being human. The good, the bad, the pain, the joy, the resilience.
It's all there.
And then she turned it into art that still moves us, still inspires us today.
She really does invite us to look inward, doesn't she? Like to acknowledge the messy parts of ourselves.
Yeah.
And to share our truth with the world.
Absolutely.
So yeah, next time you see a Frida Kahlo painting, don't just glance at it. Really look at it. Remember the life, the spirit, the woman behind those brushstrokes, because it will stay with you.
It really will.
That's it for our deep dive on Frida Kahlo.
It was a great one.
We'll be back next time with another deep dive on another fascinating topic.